Morning. So I will try to follow my manuscript, but the manuscript is just it happens to be something that in case we veer off, I give you a background and I gave you that so you could read and ask questions. So I mean, after the trauma of the flood, how many of you remember the first flood that destroyed the world? Noah. After the trauma, the first families or the surviving families after that were pretty much navigating the earth, and they came to the point like, look, short, we're tired. Let's just have a city, Sure, let's even build a monumental tower to the heavens, right?
To symbolize our achievement.
Yeah, to symbolize how far we've come, And the important thing is we don't want to be moving up and down anymore. We're just tired, And they decided to do that. There was something that that was critical in the story. It says, and the people had one language, but that was not all. You see, and they had one mind. It was more critical. You see, because I was thinking, there's this thing that they say, unity and uniformity, there's a difference between them. Like now in this room, we are wearing uniforms. But that does not necessarily mean
there's unity.
That there is unity. So, when something looks alike, when there is a lot of similarities in appearance, you have uniformity. You see, so uniformity deals with appearances. Unity, on the other hand, deals more with the success of a goal. It's the oneness of mind that creates that brings about unity, not similarity in appearance. Yeah, so all of us can look similar, all of us can wear the same shirt. Doesn't necessarily mean that we are on the same page as it regards intents, purposes, opinions, and even nuances generally. So we had a situation where they had one language and they had one mind. And there was you see, I'm very, very careful when there is an appraisal by God. And God said, whatever they set their mind to do, they will do. This is the second time in the history of the scripture that God is using the word us. Us. The first time is when he wanted to make man. There was a teamwork there. So there was a us in that conversation. The second time was when he was going to destroy, he was going to set confusion amongst man that he created. He said, let us go down and see for ourselves what these people are doing. And he went down and he saw for himself. So God did an assessment of the level of work. Now it was not the work per se that was his concern. It was the oneness of their mind. He said whatever they set their heart to do, because of this oneness of mind, they will achieve. I need to ponder on that very much.
So I noted something you say, and then it encapsulates all the points you just made, which is it is the likeness or oneness of mind that brings unity, and not the appearance of uniformity.
No, not.
So and a typical example that he gave is in this room. Dominant color we can see is
Pink.
Help me, is that pink? For you to call facial hunting. Dominant color is pink. It's uniform. Does not necessarily mean that there is oneness of mind.
No.
So there could be absence of unity.
In the presence of uniformity,
In the presence
you could have great disunity. In the presence of uniformity, you could have great disunity. And I think that is another big problem with being a race panderer when you are always thinking about race as the genesis of issues. You see, the problem with the black race is that we are not united, number one. Or when you're even talking about demography, the problem with the youths of nowadays is that we are not united. And I'm thinking that the only commonality for being a youth is an age bracket, is a demographic bracket, right? It is not the mind, right? A 16-year-old can be as prejudiced as a 30, I mean, as a 90-year-old post-Civil War veteran. So, follow me closely. It is why is unity and uniformity critical in discussing teams? Let's even define what a team is. So I'm going to mention ingredients. You must have 2 or more people. You must have 2 or more people. You must have a problem which necessitates a goal. Then you must have competencies. No, then you must have will to solving that problem. So therefore a team is coming together of 2 or more persons with the intention of solving a problem. That's what a team is. Coming together of 2 or more persons with the intention of solving a problem is a team. If there is only one person cannot make a team. Except of course that person is God.
So 2 or more persons,
Yes.
A goal, a problem.
A problem.
2 or more persons, a problem that has been identified.
Yeah.
And a will.
A willingness, an intention to solve the problem. It's critical. If you don't have 2 or more persons, it's not a team. If you don't have a problem, even if there is unity, it's not a team. If you have 2 or more persons, you have a problem, you don't have the will, well, it's not a team. Because a team must not just, because this is a room, right? We are 2 or more persons here. But it doesn't mean because there are 2 or more persons in a given time and place, you've gotten a team. So no. So I'll just briefly just run down why teams are important. Number one, you need teams to solve complex problems. It is difficult to solve complex problems alone. We need teams to solve complex problems. I don't think that we can advance the human race, can advance its civilization. We advance our civilizations, I don't think we can advance our civilization without teamwork. And one of the critical things, remember when we started, we spoke about the Bible story. It was something that the Godhead assessment saw. They spoke one language and they had one mind. If you notice something, the story of Babel is a story of tragedy. It's not a good story. It's one of the quote unquote low points of God. I don't know if I think
you see it that way, yes.
I think at that point God saw he had to destroy something that he had already earmarked as good. Multilingualism is not an original creative thought. It's a plan B, or should I say it's an adjustment to an aberration. There was an abnormality, and then God introduced multilingualism, that is many languages as a this. Now I was talking about civilizations. Civilizations would have not have advanced this far if the human animal did not develop the sophistry of communication. We didn't just we we invented, quote unquote, language and documentation that it can make sense. So intelligence transfer was possible. The transfer of intelligence is only possible by sustained, preserved, and queried communication.
Doesn't have to be spoken anyway. But yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be spoken language.
That is what I'm saying now. But it has to be documented, it has to be preserved. There have to be rules to it. Because you cannot do, let's say that, and come and do, and you're saying it's the same thing. There have to be patterns to it. So when the human spirit invented language, and that's after the destruction of language, by the way, you know that God saw two things that were critical. He said they had one language, they had one mind. You know, he didn't go to destroy their mind. That would be satanic. He didn't go down to destroy. He just go down and say, no, I'm going to suspend this project a bit. I'm going to take away this ease with which this oneness of mind come. What did he do? He took the ability for them to comprehend themselves like that. Do you know I want you to picture Babel. Sons could not understand fathers. Mothers could not understand daughters. Sisters could not understand their brothers. Cousins. In fact, you know, at that point on earth, there was one relation, one family. After that moment, we're no longer on the same page. Because I'm saying this and you're not getting me. Immediately, there was disunity. And of course, the Babel project could not be completed. God did not send thunder to destroy it. He just took away, just suspended oneness for a minute by taking away language. So man had to go back and understudy how to communicate with one another. So you know we have interlingual communication now. So somebody totally unaware of another person's language, go to spend some time with them and develop patterns to understanding that language. Do you know? Imagine how the Portuguese communicated with the members of the ancient Benin Kingdom. You know that there was communication, right? Oh, you didn't know? Of course. How did Jesus Christ leave Israel, Jerusalem, and go to Egypt to tarry for a while Herod was going about killing kids? You know, he grew up in Egypt, right? So he picked a bit of the language, yes, that was spoken there.
Language, culture.
So man has over time developed the ability to communicate. It's one of our greatest, our most sophisticated and ancient evolutionary behavior. The ability to, you don't know Jack. I'm telling you now, if they pick you now and they throw you in one village in the south, let me say one Efik populated area, you will, with time, you will develop a pattern and you'll be able to communicate in Efik. Probably even better than some Efik born. So, but you see, because I was thinking about it as a big problem. What if God had taken the two things he had seen here, he took the two? I'll take the language, or he just went straight for the jugular. I'm taking their one mind. However, it is because one mind still exists, that's why we can build teams today. It's because one mind still exists. The possibility that a multi-facet of people come together and they can have one mind. That's why team still exists. All the greatest achievement and the greatest tragedy were born out of oneness of mind. Teams. You couldn't have had Second World War and Hitler's great decimation of the earth without teams. And it's the same way it is counter teams that ended the Second World War. Let me give you a story how the atomic bomb came about. So scientists that were running away from Europe because of the immense chaos that was going on there, found the new world, America, and they stayed. But they saw that America was not attacking the war from the most available scientific knowledge as at that time. That time, fission was just discovered. I'll define fission as the
nuclear fission.
Yes. Fission as the breaking down of matter into tiny other matters.
Matter is not the smallest indivisible particle.
No, atom.
Atom is not.
Yeah. So breaking matter into other smaller matter. As you break the matter into smaller matter, what you produce is matter and energy. So that energy, you can use it to do something. You could use it to power, or you could use it to destroy. And the scientists were thinking, wow, we can therefore destroy. And so they needed someone to sell the idea to the government. And that's how Albert Einstein was useful. So Albert Einstein was the one that now sold the idea that, look, we can end this war if we greatly decimate the enemy. And we think that this thing, it was not easy by then, but I think that's how the Manhattan Project came about. You see, it's a project of private, individual thinking scientists who came together with one mind. And what's the mind? To greatly destroy the enemy using scientific knowledge. That was a complex project. I told you before, complex projects cannot exist. Complex projects do not exist without the help, or cannot be fulfilled without the help of a team. So that's one of the benefits of building teams. If you want to achieve great strides, you need 2, 3 or more persons who will work together. And how many of you have pondered why, to attract the presence of God, you might not be able to do it individually. You need a team. He said, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, and then they are missed. Do you understand? It's just the way greatness is achieved. To be serious about a thing, to commune with divinity. I'm just trying to, I don't know, I'm not preaching, although these are our own Bible studies. I'm not preaching, but I'm trying to tell you how serious it is. How, if you want to achieve any good thing in life, you must need somebody to agree with you. It's just important. Although after you must have gotten a strong conviction in your spirit, you need another person. Then God is saying, if you can get this minimum requirement, of course, I'm sure.
Can't stop there. So I think, so 2 things. One is my own drawing from that archetype, the whole Babel incident. The project was that massive structure, right? Like you said. All that needed to be done was set seed of discord within them, right? By say internal interest groups coming to, contest maybe laborers' wage, who should be at the top of the pyramid, which set of people should be rolling the brick which people should be laying them, you know. Those kind of things can bring eternal scuffles that were not anticipated. And once you get those kind of things in the project, that's the end of the project.
Yes.
As a matter of speaking, it means that communication is no longer smooth, right? Because the goal is no longer the focus. So, without bringing the entire spirituality into the conversation, is that these guys had something to do. They were all together in it, and at a certain time, they were no longer all together in it. Yes, maybe language was the cause, but really, if language was the cause, it's because they no longer could understand that this was the goal.
Yes.
Because I can't speak, you can't speak, but before the entire dismantling of our verbal communications, this was what brought us here. Right? So the dismantling of the communication should not entirely reduce that if it was not more than communication that was dismantled.
Okay, you don't want to see it as well.
I see it as that. I'm just saying.
It's not communication that was dismantled, it's language, understanding was dismantled.
That's exactly.
So the thing is, like I said, before now, there was a blueprint pattern handed to us from God. Just simple. This sound is brr, it is brr, brr. But all of a sudden, the project manager is telling the architect, he's saying brr, but brr does not mean brr to him. He's saying go and burn that pillar. And because they had one mind, critical. Because language, like I said, was uniformity. Language itself was not critical to. Language itself was not necessarily unity. The fact that they could speak a common language.
Yes.
But they had one mind. The presence of one language did not deter unity. No. Because somebody may have ego even in the presence of language.
Yeah.
One language. Say, why am I the one picking grass? But they had sorted that problem. Nimrod must have been a fantastic leader. They had sorted that problem. It was not an issue anymore. Everybody knew what to do. Do you see what I said? You see, these people have one mind. Whatever they set their mind to do, they will do. So on that part, it is like humanity had defeated divinity. On that part.
So this actually what I wrote was the entire archetype I get from this story is that is how understanding is really critical to achieving oneness.
Yes.
When there's no understanding, there can't be oneness.
Yes.
Right? Regardless of how much instruction or how much deliberation is put into a task. Right? Say we are setting out to construct a new skid, right, at Lapai tomorrow. And then we set up a team and say, this is the team that will manage this project. We sit down together, Oscar talks on the design part, we talk on what we do on marketing and campaign. We have discussed all of these things. We have outlined what the goal of the team is, the goal of the project, rather, the problem we want to do, and the men that will do it. The moment there is no understanding, there can't be oneness. It's not the assembly of these people that automatically makes it a team.
No.
It's that everybody in that team understands, okay, now rice now we eat this evening. There's no different opinion coming on by 7 p.m. about how we should buy gala. Me, I want to eat, I just want to still eat gala. That kind of conversation isn't coming because the conversation and communication had already been identified. That's what I wanted to say about that.
Okay. So let me even explain to you with where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. I'm there in their midst. So God is all about, there's a saying that God does not do for you what you could do for yourself, right? So if God is all about putting you on earth to achieve big things, and I already said, my premise is, you cannot achieve big things or complex things alone. You need a team.
Yes.
So God respects and enjoys the concept of teams. He likes it a lot. So he says, but this is it. We have defined things as something that cannot happen if there is no two or more people, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there is no problem,
There's no way.
the problem now builds goal and purpose, and then there is a will. So where 2 or 3 people are gathered in my name, purpose, I'm there in their midst, will.
Okay.
God supports
Teamwork.
teamwork.
Okay, so see what you said. No complex project can be achieved without teamwork. It says to say if we agree on the creation story, it means that the most complex thing God did was to make man.
Yes.
Because that was the only point where he involved the team.
Yes.
Prior to that conversation,
There were
it was
declarations.
yes, it was a unilateral decision.
There were
And I will
declarations.
separate water from. You can contribute. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can you just hold that thought? Just to add to what Oscar said, I was taking notes. I don't want to lose my. I remember 2 things from my induction at Paga. First time I heard that African adage that if you want to go fast, you go alone, and if you want to go far, you go with people. It was the first time I heard that thing. And then, I don't know if it was Jay or Tayo that said something about team results not being arithmetic but geometric. Let me explain what that means. If one person, the same way the Bible explains it, that one will chase 1,000. It didn't say 2 will chase 2,000.
No.
And it was not a mistake. It says 2 will chase 10,000. That's not arithmetic progression. That's a geometric progression. And if you make it 3 people, it's not 20,000.
Yes.
It's probably going to be 100,000.
Exactly.
It's